Welcome to In the Parks, an Indiana State Parks podcast. I'm Allison Martin, and I'm excited to tell the stories of these amazing places in the Hoosier State. Our parks show off the best of Indiana, and it's time to go in-depth to really know the stories and discover what makes each destination unique and valuable as part of Indiana. On In the Parks, you'll learn about the people, legends, and places that formed Indiana's parks in the past and who is writing the story now. Today, I'm excited to bring my first standalone episode about the Museum of 20th Century Warfare, a nonprofit located at Fort Harrison State Park. I anticipate there will be many other opportunities to go more in depth about something I learn at a park, so thanks for joining me on a side trail, if you will. If you didn't listen to the episode about Fort Harrison State Park, here's what you need to know. The Museum of 20th Century Warfare is located near the Park Nature Center and Horse Barn. The hours change through the seasons, so follow the museum on Facebook to make sure they're open when you visit. The museum is volunteer-led and covers 20th century warfare, beginning with the China Relief Expedition in 1900. We know this as the Boxer Rebellion, and it goes all the way through Kosovo. The museum is also home to a military history library of over 4,000 books, which is a valuable resource for veterans and military families who want to learn more about the service of someone in their family. The staff can also help veterans and families understand the significance of uniforms, medals, gear, and more. They host events about various wars and conflicts and also occasionally do some reenactments. The hour I spent with current museum president Christopher Schneider was packed with knowledge. Some things I knew, but most were new to me. What I really appreciated about the museum was all the donated items that made history real. I saw uniforms, medals, patches, and gear that real men and women held in their hands while they defended our country and others around the world. There are also maps, mock-ups, and models of various machines and battle scenes that helped me grasp the significance of parts of history I've overlooked before. I'm not going to share everything Chris told me. After all, you need to go visit the museum yourself. But there were a few highlights I wanted more people to hear. That way, when you visit, you'll understand the importance of what you see and hopefully be eager to learn more on your own. So let's get started. I'll let Christopher introduce himself, and then let's dig into the 20th century. There's a lot to learn, and hey, Chris did warn me.
You get me wound up. We will be here all day long.
Yeah.
My name is Christopher Schneider. I am president of the Museum of 20th Century Warfare, and we occupy Building 711 out at Fort Harrison State Park. I am a little over 21-year veteran of the United States military. I was a tank commander almost the whole time in armored cavalry units. Active duty 4 years, the rest National Guard in Muncie, Indiana. Interest in the military goes back to the 60s when I was a wee little one. Always big on tanks, still am. I met Mark Pennington and Mary Lynn Wallace, who started this organization, the Museum of 20th Century Warfare, back in 2000. Let's see, this is the 20th year, so go to 2004 they incorporated, and I've been associated with them ever since. Well, after Mark passed a number of years ago, it got a bit much and I stepped up to be president, and now I can't get away from it.
Don't let Chris fool you. He clearly has a great love and passion for what he does at the museum.
The first deployment of the 20th century was the summer of 1900, and that's the China Relief Expedition, which everybody usually knows as the Boxer Rebellion. These are actual battle streamers issued by the U.S. Army in commemoration of those engagements, or campaign streamers they're also referred to. So the ribbons the soldiers were awarded for being in that, this is the color, blue on the edges, yellow in the center. We'll see streamers all around the museum. We were fortunate to find a set of those. Then we move forward, we have the Mexican punitive expedition against Pancho Villa, led by General Pershing himself.
Chris verified a few World War I details for me. For instance, the war was truly fought everywhere except North America.
You have what was at the time known as the World War, the Great War, World War I, and it literally was fought all around the world. South America, you had 3 naval engagements off the coast, down along the Falkland Islands.
And he also clarified the timing of when World War I began, which was an important detail.
The Archduke Ferdinand's assassination, we'll say, pulled the match out of the book, but it didn't actually ignite it, because if it had, the fighting would have started in June or early July. It didn't start till August, till the Russians mobilized. That's what triggered it. There was no general mobilization until the Russians mobilized on the 31st of July. Then after that, you have fighting within a week, everywhere.
Chris has collected all sorts of amazing uniform pieces, including a pickelhelm, a Prussian helmet that you would most likely recognize if you saw it. It's an iconic look, a helmet with a spike on the top.
The helmet that everybody so recognizes as German was actually invented by the Prussian army, because there was no Germany until 1871. Germany is the youngest major nation in Europe. And that was originally designed, that spike was to deflect the downward swing of a cavalry saber. That's its purpose. By this period, it's more decorative. The original ones were huge.
I can't imagine how heavy that would be on your head.
The original one, have you ever seen a British Bobby's helmet? Picture that with a 6-inch spike. That's the first pickelhelm. It was like 3 pounds.
On the Fort Harrison episode, you'll hear about the trench replica that's built into the museum. After walking through it, Chris also shared about why the trench system gave rise to the need for wartime photography.
World War I is the first time photography really took off in military use. You had aircraft up from all sides photographing the other guy's trenches constantly. So the aircraft could actually adjust artillery fire from up there, and they could do the same thing, only using telephones from balloons. That's why balloons were so big back then.
As the museum transitions to World War II, you see the large model of the USS Indianapolis, a finished bike, and information about the Enigma machines. There's also a display of nearly every piece of equipment a soldier would have carried during the war.
This is a display of all the different, what's called Table of Equipment 21, TE-21, for the United States Army in World War II. Now, this is not everything, but this is the most common equipment.
And they would have carried all of that.
Oh, yes.
68 pounds, at least.
That's if you're not on the heavy weapons.
That
goes on top of that then.
Chris walked me through the history of aircraft in the Pacific, the immense value of the field artillery, models of basic tanks, and a piece of equipment used to shoot artillery rounds.
One of the interesting pieces of field artillery is how you calculate the information to tell the gun where to elevate and traverse so that rounds go to the target. And a U.S. National Guard captain, Abbott H. Burns, invented this slide rule to speed up how fast. Otherwise, you're paging through a booklet, finding the range data. You could use that little slide rule device to calculate that. And that's Charles Bosma's helmet he wore in that field artillery battalion, the 71st Infantry. And by chance, here's a propaganda picture shot for the home front while they were training down at Benning, getting ready to go over to Europe.
That's really interesting.
And that's the kind of stuff we try and find. You don't find this kind of combination stuff very often.
I mean, that's like math on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
Just goes to show, you never know when you might need math in your life. One thing Chris was especially proud of was the full-size replica he has of a German Panther tank turret.
So this is what it looks like inside a German tank.
That's such tight space.
It's enough room to do your job, and that's it.
Yeah, very
There's
utilitarian.
No more room. That's it.
Man, it would smell so bad in there.
After you fire a couple of main gun rounds with all the diesel, well, for me it was diesel, and this thing would be gasoline and grease and oil, your sense of smell is gone.
In the Korea section of the museum, there are several donated uniforms, and I once again realized the limitations of my geography knowledge when I saw how thick one of the uniforms was.
Now we jump over to Korea. These are original uniforms up here on the wall.
I didn't even think about Korea being that cold, but
yes.
Clearly
yeah,
it
because
is.
In the winter, their weather comes out of Siberia in the winter, and it comes up from the south in the summer. That's why you get these huge swings in temperature. You get so hot in the summer, and then it just freezes you to death in the winter. And the further north you get, this gets real high elevation up in here, up around 3,000 and 4,000 feet. So that thins the air out, and that means it just gets colder quicker.
Right. The Vietnam display is constantly being updated, so we didn't spend as much time on it before moving on to Chris's time in the military.
And we get close to my time in service here because I went in June 1975. I'm Cold War era from here. I was in during Desert Storm. My unit was not called up. And of course, chemical uniforms, because the Iraqis had large amounts of chemical weapons. We don't know if they actually deployed them, at least not intentionally. We may have hit something and blown it up, not knowing what it was. And of course, there's campaign streamers for that.
The Fort Harrison episode shares about the U.S. involvement in Kosovo, which I've been learning more about as well, since that's a piece of recent history I'm not familiar with. The rest of the museum has a few other interesting displays I want to highlight that are definitely worth checking out. One is a collection of Army footwear.
This is a selection of Army footwear starting from 1942 through 2000. Now, this is not every piece, because there are several specialty boots we don't own.
I mean, you know they're going to be protective, but man, those have got to be heavy too.
They are. Your feet take a pounding.
Yeah.
So having good footwear, and one of the things the Army figured out at the beginning of World War II, or right before World War II started, is, there are people out here who have foot problems. Maybe we should make sure the boot fits the foot. So if you ever go to a shoe store and you see that marvelous little device laying there to put your foot on, they didn't invent it, but they're the ones who put it in mass use, because they started measuring soldiers' feet to make sure they get the right size boot. And for about 2 years, the running issue was, if your feet are bothering you, did they measure your foot before you got issued your boot? If not, you need to get your foot measured.
And I also love the chapel and those who it honored. 4 chaplains who died in 1943.
This is our chapel. It's dedicated to the 4 chaplains that were on the USAT Dorchester. They gave away their life vest trying to save some lives. It was they were just south of Iceland, so saying the water is cold up there is an understatement. And it was almost a fluke the ship got hit, because the U-boat actually attacked from behind the convoy, and the ship he was aiming at was so shallow the torpedoes went under it and hit the Dorchester, which had a deeper draft.
The 4 chaplains, Catholic, Jewish, and 2 Protestants, assisted other soldiers with life jackets before giving away their own gloves and life jackets, and eventually their own lives. The chaplains' names are John Washington, Alexander Good, George Fox, and Clark Poling. You can learn more about these men at the link in the show notes. In 1945, they were each awarded the Purple Heart and the Distinguished Service Cross. They've also been honored through a commemorative stamp, and in 1948, Congress set aside every February 3rd as 4 Chaplains Day. In addition to the museum's chapel, there are numerous memorials around the country to recognize their sacrifice. The Museum of 20th Century Warfare is an incredible resource for teachers, students, military history lovers, veterans, and their families. This museum would be especially helpful for high school field trips. A small class would have so much they could uncover, and any high school student participating in the National History Day competition would walk away with a lot of research and display ideas. Chris said, with special arrangements, they can make time for a midweek visit, so feel free to reach out.
We can get extremely detailed down in the foxhole level, or we can look at it at very high level.
How can you get involved with the museum? Chris said they're always looking for people to help put models together. They have beautiful planes and tanks built, but they haven't completed their collections yet. I'm sure they would love volunteers in any capacity as they continue to inventory and catalog their considerable military archives and donations. If you have skills in fundraising, grant writing, or an eye for creating engaging displays, I suspect there are opportunities to get involved in those ways too. And of course, if you haven't visited yet, be sure you stop in to learn about and honor the men and women who protect our country. A huge thanks goes to Christopher Schneider from the Museum of 20th Century Warfare for taking the time to share so much knowledge with me. Be sure you follow the museum on Facebook at M20CW, Museum of 20th Century Warfare. In the Parks is not officially associated with Indiana DNR, but I'm so thankful for all the incredible work they do for our parks. Please share this podcast with your friends and give me a positive review on your favorite podcast platform. You can follow along on Instagram and Facebook at In the Parks Online. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you in the parks.